Yeah, I mean, recruiting and talent acquisition, as a function and in fact a business, is long history, right? I mean, you could go back to the 70s and 80s, and see folks doing that, and they were, faxing resumes over or mailing them, in the through the post office. Obviously now it moves a lot faster with things like email, but and just the digital age in general. I think that and you mentioned this already, right? A lot of those operational leaders are underwater. They're overwhelmed. They're trying to do 26 hours worth of work in a 24-hour day, and so. The natural progression of that is that they focus on the things that absolutely need to happen. And that for manufacturing and production is manufacturing and production, right? Is keeping those processes going, is keeping those lines running. And so things like recruiting and talent acquisition, sifting through dozens or in fact hundreds of resumes, that gets thrown to the side, and it doesn't get done until you're so far underwater, or they're so far underwater, that they are in fact drowning. And so I think that for a lot of those folks, they see companies like InflexionPoint as a lifeline, frankly, because we allow them to focus on the things that they need to focus on day to day, and trust us to have their back in terms of staffing, temporary or permanent. And I think that there's opportunity there for incredibly strong relationships to be built, right? Because we're all after the same thing, right? We want them to be successful just as much as they want them to be successful. And there's a true partnership there, which I think is really, it's really wonderful. I mean, I think that for a lot of those folks, they would much rather be focusing on the things that they like doing, right, as opposed to having to, vet candidates and go through interview processes that can be kind of long and drawn out in some cases.
I think you got to the heart of it right there. That's it. It's not that hiring is new, and that staffing agencies are new, but looking to your integration partner as potentially a source of hiring might not be the first thought.
No, yeah, no, and that's unique for us. I think that's a unique model, right? Because not only do we have the expertise to be that integration partner, right? But that puts us in a very unique position to know exactly what they do need and where those gaps might lie. And the fact that we do then have a TA team and have that arm, allows us to then position ourselves at that middle point of that entire equation, right? And say, hey, we're going to help you get this done now, because this is what we've done 40 years. In addition to that, because we've done that, because we have that experience, this draws back to a different part of this conversation, because we have that experience and that foundation to build on, we can also tell you where your gaps continue to be, and then help you fill those gaps. Not just giving you the bad news, but bringing you a problem and a solution at the same time. And that's amazing. I mean, nobody wants to just be told that they have a problem. They want to be told, okay, here's your problem, here's the solution or solutions to fix it. And we can support you the whole way.
Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about technology. You mentioned it earlier, but there's no denying there's a lot of change happening right now in manufacturing with the rise of digital technologies and things that can really change the way processes are done and the way work is organized.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious if you have any advice for operations managers as they try to grapple with these big changes.
Not necessarily overlooked by those on the front lines, but maybe at higher levels within an organization. And that is that technology needs people. You can't just plug something in and turn around, walk away, and expect everything to be fine. You still need somebody, usually multiple somebodies, to be able to, at the very least, monitor, course correct, make adjustments as things go, and usually it's more than that. Usually, it's hey, this is a new tool, and just like any other tool, it is augmenting the work that's being done by humans and by people. Especially in recruiting, and I keep going back to this, but this is my world. The 5 years ago, there was a lot of news coming out saying, oh, AI is advancing, and AI is going to be doing all of the interviewing, and all of the judgment valuing or value judgments, and essentially recruiting is going to be done, in the next couple of years, right? You're just gonna be able to let AI handle it, and the farther we've come, the more apparent it's become that that's not the case. And I talked about this before. I think that there's that pendulum has swung pretty hard in the other direction, where people are kind of exhausted by it on both sides, right? There's a lot of rumors out there about for job seekers that AI, you have to optimize your resume for AI, and you have to go so far as to even include white text in the background of your resume that instructs the AI, to do one thing or another with you. And I have looked at every major ATS. I've looked at every major, organization and company that runs this kind of software. Exactly zero of them have that technology. It just doesn't exist. And that's not to say that it won't ever, right? Obviously AI and things like that, never going to be worse than it is today, right? It's always going to be better as it moves forward. Great. However, I look at that as a really illustrative example of the point that I'm making, which is that, again, technology, those are tools that augment the work of people and humans. They don't replace that. And I don't know if they ever will. Maybe one day. We can all hope to be able to just sit around and let the computers do all of our work for us, and we get to live, leisurely lifestyles. Wouldn't that be lovely? But, again, I think that I think we're a long ways off from that. I think that for the foreseeable future, people are still going to be the greatest resource a company has. And if you don't have the right people in the right positions doing the things that they know how to do better than anybody else, you're going to struggle. You're going to get beat to the punch. And so, and again, that Inflection Point is in a really unique position for that, because not only do we have access to great technology and knowledge and background with that technology, but then we have the people needed to actually implement it, actually run it, and educate the rest of that team, that project team or workforce, on best practices, potential pitfalls, blind spots, because technology has blind spots. There's no such thing as a perfect piece of technology. It does not exist, right? Perfection is a dream. And so, I think that there's, I think that there's a lot to be said for being able to mix those and meld those two aspects together, which is something that we do quite well.
I want to thank you. This is very good. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yeah.